Rohit Sharma looked nothing like someone who hadn't played a lot of Test cricket for the last year and a half. Todd Murphy looked nothing like someone who'd never played a Test before. And Ravindra Jadeja looked every bit and piece, that proper bit and piece cricketer he is, that makes him one of the finest all rounders going around today. Those were the headliners from day two, a day that saw India at 244 runs to take their lead to 144, and with that, establish their ascendancy in the first test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. A good day, a day of a lot of toil, a good old fashioned day of Test cricket. So, who better to talk to us than two men who know a thing or two about toiling in Test cricket? Ian Chappell, Aakash Chopra joining us on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Good evening to both of you, gentlemen. Chappelli, I'll jump straight to it. The fact that India are in the ascendancy at the moment has a lot to do with their captain scoring a century, playing after so long. You thought that was a lot more restrained today. He'd flown to 56 of 69 when he batted in the evening on day one, but showed some restraint, came out on top, and a very crucial knock in the context of this game.
Yeah, good evening, Yash, and to all our viewers. A very, very good knock from Rohit Sharma, and he basically showed the way to the rest of the Indian players. This is the way I would like you to play. As you say, he was much more restrained today. It was a real test match knock from Rohit Sharma. I would have liked to have seen the Australians attack more. They bowled defensively quite well, although you could see the main bowlers getting tired in that last session. But that's the problem with bowling defensively. You can use up a lot of overs without getting wickets, and then you get a bit tired and the batting side take advantage. But having said that, Rohit made life difficult for them because I think if they'd have attacked him a bit more, he might have scored more easily. But certainly the other players, I thought they could have attacked them a bit more. But Rohit Sharma really led the way for India, showed them how to bat, and he's responsible for them having a very big lead.
Akash, you had referenced one of the final knocks Rohit has played since becoming Test opener a couple of years ago, which was that knock in Chennai, 162 that he'd made against England. He didn't quite get to 162, but there was a lot of facing spin. And do you see, when you compare it at a time when a lot of other senior Indian batters have had their troubles against spin, is Rohit Sharma presently in one of India's best batters of spin?
He is, and without a shadow of doubt, Harsh, because he's got great shots against spin. He's always had those. He can use his feet. How do you actually counter spin? What are the ways of countering spin on a turning surface? Either you use your feet and get to the pitch of the ball. He's excellent in that, and he takes the aerial route without hesitation. So he is going to keep putting pressure on the bowler. That's one. The other is you use that horizontal bat shot and you play the sweep shot. He plays that well as well. So now there's only one component that's missing, which is are you sure of your defense? And what has happened with Rohit Sharma in the last ever since actually he started opening in Test cricket. Earlier, you found Rohit Sharma slightly, perhaps a clouded thinking is what you could see, that he's not able to really decipher the DNA of Test cricket, how to actually score runs in Test cricket. He would defend and then suddenly had the urge of taking the aerial route and manufacturing shots when it wasn't required at all. But as a Test opener, it started in England. That's where he actually just kept leaving everything outside off, allowing the ball to come to him. That was, of course, his pace, or rather his test against pace. But against spin also, he's using that same temperament. I know my defense. I'm all right at that. I do have the shots to score runs. So I'm not in a hurry. And I think even when you're actually scoring a lot of runs at a fair clip in Test matches, the demeanor, the outlook has to be that I'm not in a rush to score runs. I am here, I am settled, I'm sure, I'm confident, and runs will come. And even if you're still scoring at a fair clip, you saw that with Virender Sehwag, you see this with Rohit Sharma as well, that they score quickly, but they don't look like Alex Carey, that guy is in a mad rush to score runs.
So let me refer
I'd say two things. I'd say two things about Rohit. one, obviously, moving to opening has helped him, but I think batting before Virat Kohli has made a big difference to him. I think I don't know whether he got overawed or what, but I thought that batting after Kohli made a bit of a problem for him. But I think also taking on the captaincy, realising you've got to be responsible for everything that happens, I think that's made a big difference, and he's turned into a truly really good test batsman.
Yeah, and I picked up one of Akash's tweets earlier today. He was talking about how he feels Rohit Sharma, the Test opener, hasn't been celebrated enough. Now, a part of it might be down to the fact that since he did become Test opener, Rohit Sharma has not played a lot of Test cricket. He's had his troubles with injury, missed a lot of Test cricket, as we discussed in the build-up. But do you feel Chappell right now he is among the ace Test match openers going around in Test cricket?
You couldn't play him. Well, I don't think he could play any better than he played in this innings. Where blokes rank, I think it's a bit silly getting involved in the argument. Is someone from this era a better player than someone from 5 eras before? It's a ridiculous argument. But all you know is that Rohit Sharma is a classy opener and he's one of India's best players.
All right. Giving him able company from the Indian batting perspective was Ravindra Jadeja. Aakash, we marveled about the bowling on day one, and now he's gone and done what he does with the batting as well. It's taken 2 days of Ravindra Jadeja's comeback to just show how he is potentially the most valuable asset of this Test team, especially when they play in these conditions.
Yes, definitely. And in fact, even just a comment on that Rohit Sharma thing, when you look around and just sift through the Test openers that are there in today's Test cricket, yes, Rohit Sharma will be right up there. He is in all format, all conditions sort of player now, where England was that litmus test that he passed with flying colours. Yes, there is a bit left to be done in Australia. He couldn't play the last time around, not enough. But yes, he's right up there. I'm talking about Ravindra Jadeja. In my book, he is the best Test all-rounder on the planet right now. His batting has improved leaps and bounds, and the reason for that improvement is just self-belief. He always had the shots. He could always score runs. He scored, I don't know, 2 or 3 triple centuries in first-class cricket. So he knows how to score runs, how to stitch those innings together. But he lacked the confidence that I can actually defend. I can leave the ball. I'm okay against the short bowling barrage of bouncers on a seamer-friendly surface as well. He's showing time and again that sometimes you get a feeling that he's perhaps batting way too low down the order for the ability that he has. Because top 5, top 6 are always taken by the proper batter whose primary job is to bat. But Ravindra Jadeja, the batter, he's been absolutely sensational. His improvement is something that is highlighting every single time that he's taking on the field, especially with the bat in hand.
Chappell, he walked in at 168 for 5, gave the skipper good company, and then things could have gotten tricky for India because 240 for 7, Australia could have sniffed that they can get the lead under 100. But it's one of the more remarkable things about this transformation of Jadeja, the batter, because while he's got the promotion, he's also made a lot of important runs for India batting with the lower order, and that is invaluable, isn't it?
When you get runs is very important, and Jadeja is getting vital runs for India. And I think it says something about his cricket intelligence, that he's improved markedly as a bowler. That's a good sign. But he's also improved markedly as a batsman. You throw in his fielding, he's always been a very, very good fielder. But all 3 aspects of the game he's very good at. But it's that improvement in batting and bowling that tells you he's a smart cricketer. And he did exactly what he had to do today. I think he was well led by Rohit Sharma. He saw how Sharma played and he thought that's the sort of thing that India need to do. We need to grind Australia into the turf. And where India really took advantage was that last session. You could see Australia with only 4 frontline bowlers. The main bowlers were starting to get tired. You started to get some loose balls, and India took advantage. through obviously Rohit Sharma, but Jadeja, and then at the end, Aakash Patel took advantage of some loose bowling, and India did exactly what they had to do. As Australia tied, you saw that the run rate went up in that last session, and that was a very good session for India.
Yes, that partnership is going strong. 81 unbeaten, batting into 31 overs now between Jadeja and Akshar Patel. And Akash, that has to be one of the more important transformations for India. You've gone through a period of time where India used to get close to no runs after the sixth or the seventh wicket fell. But you just look at this game, the three spinners, all of whom can bat. Ashwin, of course, batted number 3 this time. Between them, they've added 140 runs already. And that is so telling in a game that is going the way this one is.
Yes, gold dust. It is very often in a test series between two equally balanced, equally matched sides. Is that the top 5 will cancel each other out 9 out of 10 times, and then it's down to 6, 7, 8, where somebody comes, takes the game by the scruff of its neck, and just takes the game away. So that's what actually Rishabh Pant was earlier doing, batting with the tail. Suddenly, just did what Adam Gilchrist used to do back in the day. And take the opposition by surprise, and a couple of sessions is all it takes at that juncture to make a difference in the eventual outcome of the game. Jadeja, we have discussed enough. Akshar Patel, we haven't discussed enough, but he can bat. I mean, there is value. There is value in playing a lot of first class cricket, scoring a lot of runs. Because eventually it gets translated. If you've got the right temperament, it gets translated at the highest level as well. And Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja, they all hang in there. They're not the guys who are going to play a bad shot and just walk away. They put a price tag on their wicket, and ergo we've got the runs that they're scoring, and it's valuable. And also another thing, I think Australia has realized, and a lot of touring teams, when they come to India, they start focusing so much on their batting that they stop thinking about their bowling. That the primary job of, or rather the only way of winning a test match is to take 20 wickets. And if you have only 4 frontline bowlers, out of which 2 are fast bowlers, on these sort of surfaces, there will be a time after the 80th, 90th, 95th over mark where your bowlers have done enough. Your spinners shoulders are tired, the fingers are not really turning that much, and the opposition is going to take advantage. And that's exactly where the Indian team has taken advantage and now find themselves in a slightly better position.
That's right. Jadeja and Patel's partnership taking India's lead to 144 at stumps on day 2. For Australia, the highlights reel was almost all their debutant. Todd Murphy becoming only the second visiting spinner to take a 5-for on test debut in India. The last one too happened by an Australian in Nagpur, which was Jason Kretzer back in 2008. Chappell, we discussed on day 1 that this would have been a tough call because you had a rookie here who'd only played 7 first-class games, but what appeared to be a brave call on day 1 proved to be quite the right call on day 2.
Yeah, I thought Murphy bowled very tidily last night. He bowled tidily again today. I think there's no problem at all with his defensive bowling, but the problem for Australia today was that they needed to get wickets and not give up too many runs, which is the hardest thing to do. It's certainly the hardest for a fielding captain, to manipulate things so that you don't give up too many runs, but you constantly get wickets. I would have liked to have seen, in fact, there were times when I thought of the word insanity about Australia's bowling performance. And that's when you keep doing the same things and expect a different result. That is the definition of insanity. There was, for too long, Australia bowled the same to the same batsman, and without any changes in the field placings, without any differing in how you're trying to get the guys out. I mean, sure, you need to have a bit of a plan, but there's got to be a few plans, A, B, C, and you've got to change them. I think that's terribly important. Unfortunately, probably one of the big differences between the game that I played and the modern game is that bat pad is seen as one of the great avenues of getting a wicket. Well, that's fine. You can use your bat pads a bit, but you have to be able to change. And I think back to bowlers of my era where they're trying to, spin bowlers I'm talking about, they're trying to get batsmen caught at short cover. They're trying to get them caught at short mid-wicket, obviously by the keeper and by first slip. But to do that, you've got to invite some shot making. And I think there were times when Australia should have gone down that route. It may have been expensive, but it also might have brought them some more wickets. And the problem with bowling very well defensively for a long time is it takes a lot of overs. And when you've only got 4 frontline bowlers, those bowlers get tired. And if the opposition batting side are smart, they can really take advantage in the last session. And that's exactly what India did.
Akash, if someone told us before the day began that of Australia's 2 off spinners, one will finish with 5 for 82, the other with 1 for 97, we would have assumed the 5 for was Nathan Lyon. But that didn't happen. What do you think Todd Murphy did that made him so much more of a threat than Lyon was today?
Consistency with regards to just putting the ball there, ball after ball. There is a way of dismissing in Test match cricket. Of course, Chappell has mentioned how you can actually lure batsmen into playing the drive and the ball dips on you, and you find yourself inches short of where you thought the ball is going to land. That quality you would expect from, say, a Nathan Lyon, because he's got that kind of bowling action and the bowling skill. Todd Murphy was more about just putting it there, allowing the ball to do something. And sometimes it also happens that there is the unknown commodity about just the unknown factor about a new bowler. And India has done that quite a few times in the past, where they face a bowler for the first time, especially if it happens to be a spinner, and they end up giving a lot of wickets away. Jason Krejza, of course, went for, hundreds of runs for those 12 wickets that he took at this very venue. Todd Murphy has been way more economical and has bowled really tight, disciplined lines. So yes, I don't think I can add more to it, that how he was far more effective than Nathan Lyon, because just skill to skill, if you were to match the 2 off spinners, Nathan Lyon has stood the test of time, has got a little more to offer, but it was Todd Murphy's turn to pick up a lot of wickets.
The one thing we did see from both the off spinners, Akash, and I want to quiz you on this, is a lot of bowling from around the wickets. For a right-hand batter on this surface, how much more different is that challenge compared to the conventional having to face a right-arm off spinner bowling over the wickets? What makes it tougher?
So there are 2 things that happens actually. If it's a pitch where the ball is turning a lot more, so leg before the wickets is a dismissal that you want to actually explore. But if you're bowling over the stumps, invariably the ball is going to miss the leg stump. Either if somebody is offered a shot, then the impact is outside off, and if it is hitting within the stumps, if the ball is turning, it's missing leg stumps. Rather leg stumps. So you know that. This is not an angle which is going to yield me a leg before the wicket dismissal. So a lot of bowlers tend to go then around the stumps to just have that option. And also the moment you bowl around the stumps, an odd variation, just the natural variation of the ball sliding with the arm, that angle taking the ball away and finding the outside edge is something that you also try to look for. As a batter, I personally feel if it is actually a rank turner, it becomes difficult. There is no doubt about it, because then you're slightly wary. You can't sweep very confidently unless you are 100% certain that you're going to make an impact. Otherwise, hitting on the pads means that you will probably be found in front of the stumps with the ball going on to hit the stumps and not missing the stumps. So that is one thing and you can't deliberately pad either. So if an off spinner is bowling over the stumps, it's really outside off. You can deliberately pad on a pitch that's giving you a lot of assistance off the surface. So going round the stumps is not a bad option, but it should not be your go-to option all the time. And there is a lot of merit in going over the stumps, inviting those drives, and then look for a bat pad, and in fact just play the drive and the ball actually sneaks through the bat and pad, the gap between bat and pad. Something that happened with Surya Kumar Yadav today. That's one dismissal that you have to look for. And one thing that did not go in favor of Australia, in my opinion, was the fact that you have 2 off spinners. See, it's very same kind of bowling. And as a batter, I would get used to it. The ball is going to come into me and it's never going away, and it's not going to do anything else. And that is where I think India is blessed to have Jadeja taking the ball away, Ashwin bringing the ball back in. And Akshar is a very different sort of bowler. Even though he's a left-arm spinner, he's a very different sort of bowler. That variety was missing from Australia, and that tends to make batting a little easier.
Right, Chappell, quick comment from you on a couple of the missed chances. Smith dropped Rohit, and you felt it might be costly, but Pat Cummins saved him the very next ball by removing Rohit. But then there was the drop catch right at the end of the day of Jadeja as well. How much do you think that could hurt Australia's chances?
Well, fielding in the slips in India is probably the most difficult place in the world to field a slip. In Australia, it's pretty comfortable because a lot of the catches, most of the catches are waist up, so that makes it a lot easier. So I wouldn't be blaming slip fielders too much. It's difficult, particularly the one off the pace bowler with Smith. You've got to stand so close. The ball gets to you quickly. It's particularly tough. Um, the thing about slip fielding is you never know when it's coming. And for Smith, second last ball of the day, that's a tough chance. But again, it's something you've got to take, and something that Australia really needed. They needed to send Jadeja back. It would have put them in the dressing room at least on a bit of a high. So that drop was important. Um, just going back to the bowling of Australia and Surya Kumar's dismissal, that's one that I would have liked to have seen the Australians try for more. If you, it's, I mean, you don't want to be coming around the wicket all the time. You need to vary it a little bit. But from round the wicket, the Australians too often, I think, attack the leg stump as a defensive move. To me, you've got to try and do what they did to Surya Kumar. Uh, get the ball outside off stump. If you can curve it away, it's even better. And then you spin it back. So you're giving the option of bowled as they got that batsman out. There's a chance that you get the outside edge, so you bring the keeper and first slip into play. There's the LBW, which is always a chance on that angle. And then there's the bat pad. I think it's a far greater, gives you a far greater chance of getting the bat pad. So to me, that was a disappointing aspect of the Australian off-spin bowling. You try and cover drive the ball against the spin on a pitch that's turning. It's not a very easy shot at all. And the more times you can get batsmen trying to drive through that offside and get the ball spinning back into them, particularly from just outside off stump, if you can do that, you'll pick up some wickets, and sometimes a lot of wickets.
Yeah, and sometimes they can be well worked wickets. Sometimes they can be rather fortunate wickets, as happened with the dismissals of Pujara and Kohli. Aakash, for two batters who've had their troubles with off spin, they would really be kicking themselves that they got out to those balls, which they would have thought they'd never be dismissed to against an off spinner. Really.
Well, true, but Pujara is not someone who actually sweeps that well or that early in his innings. Sweep is not a shot that he goes to 9 out of 10 times. That's not the shot. He uses his feet against off spin, will get to the pitch of the ball, or use the depth of the crease, mostly against left arm spinners, but also sometimes against the offies, but not sweep. He went for a sweep. Not his natural shot, got the leading edge. There was a short fine leg, a place for exactly that, a top edge sweep. Finds himself back into the dressing room. I mean, he should be kicking himself, and he will be, I'm sure, because he looked all right. While he was there, it looked as if he was in decent form. Virat Kohli, on the other end, I mean, yes, it is unfortunate when you get dismissed, like finding a nick down the leg side. But there is, if you were to nitpick, see, when you're playing on the leg side, when you're playing the flick shot, ideally, and that's what batters tend to do when you look at a dismissal, you say, is there something that I could have done differently? So Virat Kohli, if he were to look at that dismissal again, a bowler bowling around the stumps, you're trying to flick it. Yes, there is a short fine leg in place also. Then both your legs should not be actually next to each other. Your front leg should open up a lot. That will open up your body, and then you'll be able to guide it towards that region. If you were to just replay that dismissal, you'll find that Virat Kohli was almost side on playing the flick shot. That is when you end up tickling it very often. So, yes, unfortunate, but if you are absolutely ruthless, you'll say that there was something else that he could have done.
And just to add to Akash's comment there. If you play as he suggested by opening up and keeping that left leg away from your right leg, then you're playing the shot and the keeper cannot see the edge. Whereas by him having both of his legs together, his bat was outside his pads. So the keeper, not that I think he did see it in this situation, but he had a far greater chance of taking that catch with the way that Kohli played the ball. The other thing I'd have to say about Kohli's shot is, why the hell was he trying to hit it around there? To me, he's far better off playing, as Aakash suggested, opening up the left side and pushing that ball into the onside away from the fielder rather than trying to tickle. I mean, if as a batsman, if I got caught in that fine leg slip position, I'd hang myself, because you should, as a right-hand batsman, you should never get caught there, particularly not. The only place I'd say where you might would be in Perth, where the ball bounces a bit, might catch a glove or something, but you should not get caught in the leg slip. If anything, if Australia were going to have a man there, they should have had them at leg gully, not leg slip. But where Kohli got caught, one, he should never have been playing the ball there, and two, he should have played it, as Aakash suggested, with the left leg opening up and forcing the ball on the onside. You don't want to be hitting it around behind. Okay, if there's no one there, you can leg glance and you'll get a 4. But when there's a man there, why bother? Hit it somewhere else. That's the idea of the game of cricket. There was a batter in baseball many years ago, Wee Willie Keeler, who always said, hit them where they ain't. Same in the game of cricket. Where the fielders are, you try to hit them away from the fielders.
Someone get those words across. Social media, do your thing. Get those words across to the Indian team management. Let Virat Kohli have a listen. Let him improve those off-spin numbers. I don't know whether that will happen, Chappell, but what I can tell you is that, and I know that you are not a social media person, is that our social media feeds have been buzzing ever since you've been back on these screens. Viewers commenting, thrilled to have your insights back on ESPN Cricket for this series. And I'm going to, as we build ahead to day 3, I'm going to take one of those comments coming in from a viewer, Pradeep Pawar. He asks you, Ian, what do you think from the Australian perspective? Are they still in the game? What can they do to claw their way back in this contest?
Well, they're going to be at least 150 behind. I think 150 is going to be insurmountable. To me, the pitch, as I say, I thought the Australian bowlers got tired in that last session, but I thought that the pitch was, and let's be fair about the pitch, all the malarkey, as I said, that was spoken about before the game has not eventuated. It has been a pretty typical Indian red soil pitch. It has played the way you would expect it to play. So I think it's been, if you came to India as an Australian cricketer and thought you were going to get anything else, you were sadly misinformed. So I think the pitch has been pretty good. But the fact that there's a little uneven bounce, there's a little bit of spin, and the fact that India have the bowlers to take advantage, and I'm talking particularly the left armour into those foot marks, life is going to be difficult for the Australian batsman. And if you're starting, well, we know it's going to be 150, it could be quite a few more. If they're that far behind, you got to get 300 to give India 150 to get. For that 300, a lot of work particularly for a visiting batting side. So at this stage, I'd say India are certain to win.
Right. Aakash, in your case, I know that you interact enough with your social media, be it with ex-cricketers, be it with fans. So I'll add my own question to you. How do you see the day panning out for India on day 3?
See, we've seen, and this has been the pattern, that whenever there is a break, you'll find wickets on the other side. Now, both batters are overnight. You would expect Australia to come out stronger on the third morning, but then 144 ahead, get to like 175, stretch it to 200 if you can. And then I think if not tomorrow, day after, of course, we'll have the result, and the result in India's favor is what I'm envisaging, and maybe a bit more to do for Akshar Patel and the faster bowlers, because yes, while you go to spinners very early and you expect them to do their thing, but this Indian fast bowling unit is not not a popcorn attack. So they will actually contribute, is what I'm thinking.
Okay, quick rapid fire question to you, Chappell, before we wrap this. Does this game go into day 4? Can we expect a Sunday off?
Well, I think part of it is going to depend on how long India bat for. If they bat for nearly the first session, then we'll probably get to a 4th day. But if Australia wrap the innings up pretty quickly, I could see the match finishing in 3 days.
All right, so the possibility exists that Sunday will be off. We'll see. We'll hold you to it. That does it from us. I'm sorry we've gone into extra time. The day's play also went into extra time. So, gentlemen, please bear with us. Like I said before the test, potentially 2 days saved. So let's not count these 5-10 extra minutes. Apologies for that. Thank you so much for your company, Ian, Aakash. Look forward.
Pleasure.
Let's see how things pan out on day 3, whether or not it ends. One way or the other, we will be here. In case it ends earlier, be sure to catch us whenever the test match wraps up on day 3. Thank you for tuning in.